So earlier this year, the Digital Monster Color Monster Hunter 20th edition was released, and it was a pretty exciting release because this was a pretty big crossover. Now, I'm not a Monster Hunter fan myself, not really my thing, but either way, it was really cool to see Digimon reaching out and not just doing a minor collaboration, but doing a whole dang VPET in collaboration with another franchise. So seeing all these Monster Hunter monsters come to a Digimon device was a pretty cool thing. Now, unfortunately, I didn't find the device itself to be all that interesting for a number of reasons that I won't go over right here. I do have a whole review on that elsewhere on the channel if you're interested in my thoughts on this, but it's a cool idea. It's got some cool things going on with it, but it just didn't feel even as interesting as the series it was based on, and the monster selection was kind of it was a lot of recolors, and you know how I feel about those. So either way, I just wasn't super enthused by it. Regardless of being a Monster Hunter fan, the VPET experience was pretty lackluster. So I assumed that was going to be the same thing for the Godzilla 70th edition that they produced for the Digital Monster Color series. And we first got wind of that at the end of last year, that it was coming. We didn't know anything else about it. So for the longest time, we were just assuming, yeah, it's going to be just like the Monster Hunter one, except they're using the classic 16x16 sprites instead of the higher resolution ones that the Monster Hunter one does. But then in March, we got a lot more details, and it was pretty clear that this was going to be something pretty different. And having spent a little bit of time with it now, I am very surprised to say that not only do I think it is better than the Monster Hunter edition, but I also think it's better than the other versions of the Digital Monster Color that we've already received. Now, whether it's better than the Pendulum Color, I still like the Pendulum Color a little bit more, but I still think this might be the more interesting device. And so that's really surprising to see for what is a crossover device. I assumed that they would kind of just do, I don't want to call the Monster Hunter the bare minimum of what to do, because they did a lot of things with that, but I didn't think it would do anything exemplary. But oh man, this one goes pretty above and beyond. So let's talk about this. So firstly, you see it's pretty as heck. The Monster Hunter one's no slouch either. I like the Zenogre skin going on here. The Rathalos one also looks pretty nice, but this one's got some really nice art going on with Wargreymon G-Erosion mode. There's actually two different colorways available for this. There's this one, which is the really colorful one, but then there's also this one that I have not taken out of its packaging yet, where they call this the classic color, I believe. So it's black and white, and which, the original Godzilla is black and white. I guess that's what they're going for. But same artwork and everything, just different colors going on. The artwork wraps all the way around it, and you see all sorts of nice flourishes on it. There's Digimon 70th logo for Godzilla, Wargreymon. We see G-Cell down below. And yeah, it's a pretty slick looking device. It calls to mind the same kind of wrappings we got for the Osmaria edition of the Digital Monster X and the Kenji Watanabe editions of the Digital Monster version 20th. So very similar type of artwork going on here. Very cool looking. I didn't open up any of those other editions, so it's nice to actually be playing with one that has this going on. I'm being very careful with it. I don't know how resistant it is to scratches or not. I just, but I'm being more careful with it than I do with my other VPETs, that's for sure. So it's always in its case. It's always protected. Either way, it's very, very lovely looking design. I like it a lot. I do like this full color version a little bit more than the more black and white one. So that's why this has been the one I have been playing with. Like the other versions of the Digital Monster Color, it's using that same brick shell. There's no differences in the actual physical presence of the device. It's got the same buttons, same screen, same everything. It's once again a device that recharges via USB-C, so no replaceable batteries. You just plug it in and charge it for a little bit. Like other versions of the Digital Monster Color, it lasts pretty long on one charge, usually at least a week, before you just need to charge it, and I usually just charge it for about an hour, and I'm good to go for another week. So pretty easy to work with. And I know some people prefer the replaceable batteries, but I do like having the rechargeables. There's good arguments for both. And yeah, so that's what the device looks like. So what's actually in there, and why do I actually like it so much? So let's go ahead and just get this into here. Let's get this zoomed in and everything. There's my stand. As you can see, unlike the Monster Hunter, we're back to the 16x16 sprites, and I know that's going to ruffle some feathers out there because some people really like the high resolution sprites on the Monster Hunter. I did not like them, but for me, Digimon, like this sprite style is so iconic and I love it. But also really importantly, they had to do 16x16 for this device for one big reason, and I'm not going to go into the reason a lot on this video because I have on previous videos leading up to this. So again, I've got other videos on this before release that talk about the history of this, but the short of it is that there was a collaboration device that was going to be released in the late 90s, around 1997, 1998, and that collaboration fell through. So there was going to be a Godzilla virtual pet that Bandai was making, And since the deal fell through, and my personal headcanon is that the nonsense that was the American Godzilla movie from back then kind of made them not do it, because the American Godzilla was was to be on that device, believe it or not. But because that didn't actually go through, Bandai's like, well, we have all these sprites, let's do something with it. And they made the version 5 of the digital monster. So if I take this one out here, and let's get this guy unfrozen. I had him frozen for his appearance here. So the version 5 features a bunch of monsters that are straight up Godzilla monsters, but were redesigned, quote unquote, to be Digimon. So you have Metal Tyrannomon here, and so he's obviously gray and covered in metal and everything. But in the original version, he was actually burning Godzilla. And likewise, Dark Tyrannomon was regular Godzilla. You had Flymon was actually Mothra. And that's a big reason why, while many sprites already don't follow up with the artwork, these sprites really didn't follow up with the artwork, because sprites are usually designed first. And so after the deal fell through, they're like, well, let's go ahead and take these designs and turn them into something else. So they tried to redesign them the best they could to kind of look like the sprites, but then be completely legally distinct monsters. So that's where the version 5 came from. And so now it's come full circle, because those same 16x16 sprites that were originally to be used were used. Now, they weren't necessarily used exactly the same way they would have been used back then. There are definitely some changes compared to the version 5. And whether those version 5 sprites were also modified to a degree to get rid of some of the Godzilla-ness of them, I'm not sure. But either way, they end up having some minor differences between the Godzilla sprites and the version 5 sprites that we have today. So that's really cool to see. The only monster from the original version 5 that we didn't see translated back into Godzilla here would have been Raremon turning back into Hedorah. Raremon itself is on this device. I don't know why Hedorah wasn't. I don't know why they chose to stick with Raremon instead. There's probably good reasons for that. I don't know what they are, and I'm not going to speculate. So the rest of them, though, so you had Deltamon to King Ghidorah, you had Destoroyah to Devidramon. All those have been recreated in here, but with the colors of their original Godzilla monsters. And there's a pretty good roster on this, too. There are 34 monsters, I believe it was, 32, 34. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's a good selection on here, so a pretty good size for a color device. I remember the original Digital Monster Color series had 18 to 20 Digimon on each device. The Pendulum Color had 32 on each device, except for the Virus Busters, which got preferential treatment. And these ones are about the same size as the Pendulum Color rosters. So a good number of creatures, and they are mostly older Godzilla monsters. There are only 2 monsters on this device that are from something released after the year 2000. And they are not any of the ones that would be your first guess. They are the Chibis. So if you're familiar with Chibi Godzilla and Chibi Mechagodzilla, they are the only newer designs that appear on this. Everything else is from older movies, especially from, I don't know if it's the right thing. Is it Heisei? I don't know how to say it. The ones that start, I don't know the eras of Godzilla or the eras of Japan off the top of my head, because I don't follow that kind of stuff super close, but that's where most of them appear from. So you've got Godzilla, you've got Kiryu, you've got, what's his face, Gigan, you got all those guys. I don't know if those are all strictly Heisei, but that's where this is largely around. And so this Godzilla itself is from 1994, the one we're looking at right here. There are a few other Godzillas. There's also 1954 and 1999, but Godzilla 1994 is kind of the premier iconic Godzilla of this device. And in addition to Godzilla monsters, there are Digimon on here. So the Agumon line, the one from the anime, is here in its entirety. You've got all the way down from Bodemon all the way up to Wargreymon, plus some bonuses that offshoot of Agumon as well. So there are G-Erosion modes. So there's a Metal Greymon G-Erosion mode and a Skull Greymon G-Erosion mode, as well as Wargreymon G-Erosion mode. And then you also have Mugendramon MFS3. I guess it's the metal that Mechagodzilla is made out of, something like that. I don't know. I don't know Godzilla lore. I'm sorry. I know it's really annoying because I had no idea what was happening in Monster Hunter before. Now I have no idea what's happening in Godzilla. I have at least watched Chibi Godzilla Raids again, and I'm very pleased that they finally started uploading the dubbed version again, because they stopped after like episode 48 for a long time, and now they finally started uploading them again, and I'm getting to see the season finale, and there's a season 3. Anyway, not the point of this conversation that we're having here today. But yeah, so there's a good selection of roster there. There's a few other Digimon that appear, specifically Monodramon and Raremon also appear on this. Why Monodramon? It's a dragon. There's dragons in here. That's pretty much, I think, the only reason they had. So a very good roster of both Digimon and monsters on here, which I love to see, especially because there's not just the crossover Digimon like there were on the Monster Hunter, but a mix. Normal Digimon, crossover Digimon, Godzilla monsters, all working together. It's lovely. And the roster itself, it's got a lot of good evolution paths. We'll talk more about that in a second as we go through the different mechanics on this. But yeah, so let's actually get in and start looking at what this device actually can do. So this is a pretty normal Digimon virtual pet. You raise it, you feed it, it grows, it turns into different things based on how you take care of it. And while the mechanics aren't going to be the same every single time, as far as the specifics, the overall things are the same. So all the functions of the digital monster color return here, with a few exceptions. But if we go to the menu, we actually first see a function from the Digimon pendulum color make a return, specifically the album. So in our status, we can actually go in and look at an album of the creatures we've raised. So we see one from Koromon to Baby Godzilla to Biollante to Space Godzilla to Godzilla 94. I actually meant to get Destoroyah, but oh well, I guess if I'm doing this video, it's nice to have the main guy up there. One cool thing that returns from the Digital Monster X series as well, and this is the first big thing that this brings to the table, cut-ins. You get a full screen cut-in whenever they are going into battle, and you can see that just by clicking on them in the album as well. So that's pretty darn exciting. That was a great feature from the Pendulum Z and the Digital Monster X that was missing from the other Digital Monster Color and Digimon Pendulum colors. It is going to be on the new versions of the Digimon Pendulum Color as well. But yeah, so glad they brought that back because that was sorely missed and it's lovely to see. So that's exciting. We go into our stats and we see that the normal stats are there. This guy's fatty. Look at that. Been alive for 8 days though, so you know, it is what it is. Hunger meter as usual. Strength meter as usual. This guy, oh man, G cells. This is what made me truly love this device. These right here. I'm gonna go into this in full here in a minute, but we're gonna start off by just mentioning that G cells make this device super unique and super fun. So we then have our DP/energy, which is just telling us how many times we can battle. Our win percentage, look at that, only 80%, step it up. And there we go, there's all of our stats. So you can continue to feed it and everything as usual. So we saw we were missing a hunger heart, so let's go ahead and give it a meat. For whatever reason, the meat is gray. I don't like that. It's supposed to be brown, but for whatever reason, monsters get gray meat instead of the normal brown meat that Digimon get. Not to say that there's different types of meat on here. Everything on this device gets gray meat, but it's just strange to see. So we feed it, hearts go up. We see we're missing strength. So before I go into the actual training and battles and all that, we'll go ahead and go back to G cells right now. This is the spot where we need to bring it up. So as you can see, I've got a meter here that's filled up with a bunch of little ticks, yellow and red in this case, and it's actually much bigger than this. So if like we were to put this over here, the meter actually goes out to like all the way over here, and there's a bunch of yellows here and a bunch of blues here, and then the reds can also go out to farther like over here as well. So that's the G cell meter. We can only see a portion of it at a time because of the limitations of a screen that's small, but it's a big long meter and it's telling you how many G cells you have. Each one of these ticks is 1 G cell, and each G cell is made up of a number of G cell points. So these red and yellow ones, for example, are each worth 12 G cell points. So 12 G cell points make 1 G cell. Blue ones are only worth 8, but again, the blue ones are all the way over here, and we're not looking at them, but they are still there. Just as a heads up, they are still there. Even if you can't see the other colors, they still exist as long as you filled in to that point. So G cells replace effort on this entirely. Effort's gone. So it's not a matter of the number of trainings you do, it's a matter of the number of G cells you have that affects your evolution. And it's not just going up to adult anymore. One of the things about effort is that it only mattered up until you became an adult. After that point, it's all battles all the time, and other factors as well. Other devices may have other things, but trainings stop mattering on most devices once you become an adult. Here, it's not effort, it's not just trainings. G cells matter for every evolution. The only one it doesn't matter for is Bodemon going to Koromon. Everything else, it matters. So the other cool thing is that it's not a meter that resets on evolution either. It is persistent across the monster's entire lifespan. So as you raise it, as you evolve into new forms, the G cell meter is going to be exactly where it was when you evolved as it was before you evolved. And so that might make you wonder, okay, well, does that mean I can't make certain evolutions ever once I evolve because I've already hit that amount? Because you can't decrease effort. But you can decrease G cells. And this is where it gets really, really cool. Because different actions that you take will either increase or decrease your G cells. And it's not just training, it is several things. So take a look at this, all right? So right now, we've got 9 red G cells. And we're 1 away from filling up this specific meter. So how can we increase G cells? Well, we've got training. Training on this thing is unlike any other Digimon device. It is more interactive, which I love. it also takes longer than a lot of trainings, and there's a good reason for that. A lot of people may have just barreled through trainings for the sake of getting through evolution and being done with it. Here, choosing to train is a time-intensive thing to do because it isn't just click it and go. Like, I was able to get full effort that I needed for this Godzilla that I had on this device over here in no time flat, because you just mash B and you're good to go. Here you've got to actually think. Now, the first part of training, and that's right, there's 2 parts of training. The first part of training is an up-down game, but unlike other up-down games, it's a live up-down game where you're reacting, not just guessing, which this is great. So check it out. This is how it works. So we go in and we have different weapons coming at us, and we have to choose either up or down to hit the right height of the weapon coming in. That one was just an easier alteration. But once you get past that point, you're on to phase 2 of the training. And this one's a classic one. It's just building up a meter. And if we build up the meter all the way to the max, which it's harder to do the more it evolves, then you're able to defeat that guy. That's Mogera, by the way. Hi, Mogera. And there we go. Training successful. And you may have just noticed that after I completed that training, the background just changed. There's so much happening right now. This is why I love this device. So if we go back to our meters here, and we go back to our G-cell meter. So we just completed a training. Training completion gives us 4 G-cell points. And again, you need 12 G-cell points to get a full G-cell. But that was just enough to get us to the max red of this meter. So now we have a full 10 red G-cells. And whenever you fill out a meter, the background of the device changes. Now, that's assuming you're using one of the 2 dynamic backgrounds that exist on this device. And they're double dynamic this time because, like on other devices, these backgrounds, the one we're looking at here, will change based on the time of day, but they'll also change based on the number of G-cells you have. So, and it's really cool because it also indicates Godzilla getting closer and closer to the city. So before we were on the outskirts of the city on the shore, right? And once our G-cell meter went up, now we're inside the city. Before that point, we were going across the ocean to arrive at the city, and before that, we were in the wilderness of Godzilla Island or wherever the heck this guy comes from. I don't know. And so as your G-cells increase, it simulates you becoming more and more of a threat, basically, to the city, which is really, really cool. So it's not just evolution flavor, it's also this, but the backgrounds also help you know what evolution you're in for. So by having a different background, you may achieve a different evolution. Now, the one thing is that for the most part, G-cells are not super intricate as far as how they affect evolution. It's either you hit a certain amount or you don't, and that affects your path. Similar to how on the pendulum color, when you reach a certain amount of effort, you get one thing, and if you don't reach it, you get the other thing, for the most part when evolving into adult. So it's similar to that. So it's either a you've hit it or you haven't kind of thing. It's not like you need this certain range. There is one evolution that does require a range, but it's just going from baby to child for achieving Agumon, I think it is. One of the options for achieving Agumon requires you to get 5 to 9 blue G-cells. But for the most part, it's just based on getting to a certain point or not getting to that point to affect evolution. But either way, you can help. It's helpful to know where you're at because, let's say that you aren't thinking, right? And one of the things that decreases G-cells is feeding a protein. So let's say I was like, oh, well, I don't have time to train right now, so I'm just going to feed a protein. And we do that. And look, we're back at the beach. So that showed us that, like, oh no, we just went down on our G-cells. Am I still going to meet the evolution that I want? Do I need to do something different? So you immediately are aware of when your G-cell meter changes. There are other backgrounds on this device, and we can take a peek at those right now while we're talking about them. So there are other backgrounds. So this is Dynamic 1, this is Dynamic 2, which shows a different city with a different shoreline there. Both of the 2 G-cell backgrounds will go from the same procedure of wilderness to ocean to shore to city. And that way you know what your G-cell meter is doing. So most of the time, I'm going to be using one of these 2 backgrounds. You may think, well, why didn't they make more? They didn't have room for more. There were only so many backgrounds they could include on this, and they ate them all up with these 2, because that's 4 different backgrounds per background, plus the additional 3 backgrounds for each of those backgrounds for the time of day. So that's 12. So 24 different backgrounds are taken up just from these 2 G-cells. So the other ones, if we look here, won't be dynamic. And while, no, I'm not going to say they're bad or anything, it's like, why use them? So you, first of all, you can get the original 5 backgrounds from the original Digital Monster Color series by connecting to those devices. You don't need to connect to each different version. You just need to connect to at least one of the first 5 versions of the Digital Monster Color 3 times and 6 times, all the way up to 15 times to unlock them all. We got the logo of the device. This one comes by default. You have the underwater. And then I don't have any others unlocked right now, it seems. There are more to unlock, but like I say, they're not dynamic, so they're just not as interesting. Like, I recommend if you're using this device, use one of the 2 dynamic ones. I've been using this one the whole time while raising this Godzilla. On the next run, I'm switching to another one for sure. So we went down on our G-Cell meter, and so we've already seen that training can increase it, but battles can increase it too. And so we have, once again, the ability to battle other creatures on this device, and we can battle creatures from other devices by choosing the second option. So if we go into the first option here, we've got 10 different rounds. I've only gone up to 8 so far. And if we go into one of those, there we go. We got Gigan appearing and Godzilla being like, no, I'm going to get you. And battles, there's no pre-battle minigame. That's one of the bummers about the Digital Monster Color series, is that battles aren't super involved. It is literally just the calculations are done for you based on whether or not you've got, or how much power you have, what your strength meter currently shows, and whether or not you have a traded egg. Those are the only things that influence whether or not each shot lands during a battle. So we can see they're trading blows. The first one to get to 3 hits is going to be declared the winner of this battle, and it's probably going to be my Godzilla. There it goes. Yep, sure enough. And then we go on to the next battle. So now we're fighting Godzilla 1954. And so this keeps going until we reach the end of the battles here. And there are different unlocks that you get from battling. So 3 of the areas will... Why does he shoot a cloud? 3 of the areas will result in a background unlock. So the 1st, 4th, and 10th areas all have backgrounds to unlock. The 7th area is really special because if you manage to beat the 7th area, then you unlock more evolution paths. That's right. This is similar to the Digital Monster X in that certain evolutions are only attainable if you have cleared a certain area in quest mode. Now, it is by no means... Oh, there's Skullgreymon G Erosion mode. Check him out. This is by no means as intricate as the system that the Digital Monster X used, where each Digimon, apart from the ones that you start with, are tied to a specific area. It's just that once you clear Area 7, you unlock a whole bunch of other monsters. Interestingly, the monsters you unlock all seem to be monsters that are unrelated to Agumon or Godzilla. So things that don't have Godzilla DNA in them. So you get Mothra, you get King Ghidorah, you get Gigan, you get Mechagodzilla, you get a whole bunch of those. Now, I'm not, again, a Godzilla expert or anything, so I don't know for full that is truly the case, but from my limited knowledge, that appears to be what it is. So you start off just being able to use Godzilla monsters, then once you clear Area 7, you can get the other non-Godzilla monsters. You also start off with Agumon. Godzilla and Agumon is what you start off with, so... Clearing Area 7 gets you access to Monodramon as well on the Digimon side, and so once you have that, you've got several more evolution options available. So your second run may end up being entirely different from your first run just based on that alone. This Godzilla is doing pretty good. He's already up to Kiryu over here. Now, for those unaware, Godzilla 1999 here is a fully evolved Digimon. It is the Stage 6 Ultimate level. There is technically one more evolution it can achieve, but... Some evolutions on this device, including the lone Super Ultimate on this device, can only be achieved by obtaining a G-Cell fragment, and that is something that drops when a Digimon dies, similar to a traded egg, right? So if certain certain monsters would drop a traded egg, there's a secondary check to see if that monster drops a G-Cell fragment instead. So you have basically a 50-50 chance of the 30% chance with those monsters. Godzilla 94 here is one of the ones, and this is, by the way, we're fighting Mugendramon MFS3 right now. Look at that. Different colored eyes depending on which way it faces. So nice. So Godzilla 94 here is one of the ones that can drop those G-Cells. It's mostly Stage 5 and 6 Digimon that have the appropriate Godzilla DNA that can do it. And with that, it changes the evolution paths you can achieve entirely. So you're locked into certain evolutions, so others can no longer be obtained if you have a G-Cell fragment. And it unlocks 2 adult forms and 1 super ultimate form that cannot be achieved any other way without having G-Cell fragment. All right, so we cleared Area 8 there, as you can see. Good job. And our background is, once again, the lovely city, since each of these battles increased our G-Cell count. So if we go back to our meter, we probably have went past the basic red and into, yeah, sure enough. So now we're into full red meter. So again, the rest of the yellows are all the way over here now. So the yellows are over there, but we're on full red. And this is the final meter. If you max this out, that's it. That's all you can max it out. So yeah, that's battles affect it. That's trainings affect it. There are... And protein affects it. So protein decreases it. Failing the first phase of training decreases it. Winning at least the first phase increases it. I've got the whole thing listed out in digitalmahatchery.com. So G-cells are a pretty complicated subject. I tried to cover at least a little bit here, but go to the website. There's a whole section on G-Cells there that will tell you every single little thing you need to know about them in order to interact with this device. So one of the other cool things that's on this is, like the Digimon Monster X, once again, random encounters have returned. So just like before, there will be a monster that suddenly appears and you must fight it in order for the random encounter to be successful. And those, when you are successful, will give you even more G-Cell points than a normal battle. You get a full 12 out of that. So that's one entire G-Cell for the yellow and red meters. So those random encounters, they aren't truly random, so we can actually cause one to appear right now if we want to. So we just got to check. I've got on the guide here which monsters are part of which group, and that therefore what times they would appear. So if I look at the Godzilla 94, I can see that it is part of encounter time group 5. So if I go to my user manual and I go down to random encounters and I look at group 5, then I see that it can have an encounter. Let's see, what time is it right now? We'll go to the next one. So it's 2:07. That means its next one should be at 3:09. Okay, so that's not so bad. Let's just move it forward 1 hour. There we go. So it has to roll over to that minute. It can't just go right to that minute. So if we wait a minute there, it should become a random encounter. While we're waiting for that, additional functionality to talk about. So again, this can connect to other devices. That includes not only other Godzillas, but any device in the color series of Digimon V-Pets and Digivices whatsoever. So that's the Digital Monster Color, Digimon Pendulum Color, the Digivice Color, the D3 Color, and the Monster Hunter as well. All of those can connect to this and do battle. The only things that unlock from those would be if you fight against one of the first 5 versions, those backgrounds we talked about. Otherwise, there are no connection unlocks. And to be clear, both colors of this device are identical in every way. So regardless of whether you get the black or the white one, you get the exact same content. There's no uniqueness to the rosters or any other unlocks. They are 100% the exact same device. So yeah, that's connections. The poop icon, as you see down there, is once again used for cleaning poop. We haven't seen this guy poop in a little while here, but maybe we will during the course of this video. But yeah, it poops, you clean it up. Now let's see, was this encounter a dud? Darn it, it was a dud encounter. So funny thing about encounters is there are specifically some encounters that, there's a set order to the encounters you get. And so that order won't always have a monster in it. So every so often there's just a point in the random encounter order where there's just nothing. So, and that helps it feel more random. So that was probably our dud one, which means in another minute we should get an actual random encounter. So while we wait for that, so we talked about poop already a little bit. We've got lights, and it's the same functions as always. Lights, we could turn them on, we could turn them off. I said that the opposite order there. If your monster goes to sleep too late for you, like Godzilla here goes to sleep at midnight, what I'll do is I'll just turn off the light when I'm ready to go to bed. And so when it goes to bed, it will go to sleep without getting a care mistake. I haven't talked about care mistakes yet, but as a reminder, the thing on the lower right there, that little call icon, if it goes off and you do not take care of your monster's needs in the appropriate amount of time, that's 10 minutes if it's got an empty hunger or strength meter, and 1 hour if it's falling asleep. If you don't take care of it in that time, you get a care mistake, and care mistakes do affect your evolution path. So that's how you can know to take care of those. All right, 3 seconds to go. There we go. It plays the Godzilla theme, which if you haven't watched the karaoke episode of Chibi Godzilla, highly recommend it. It's my favorite episode of that series, so definitely check that out and sing along anytime that the theme song comes up here. So you do have to respond to random encounters. If you choose not to respond, you won't get a care mistake, but you will lose G-Cell points, and which isn't the worst thing in the world. You can get those back, right? So it's not a major thing, but if you were... Just had to listen to that theme again. If you were just on the cusp of the meter and that can affect your evolution, then that would be pretty annoying. So make sure you're paying attention to those as they come. There's no way to turn off random encounters, but they don't happen too frequently throughout the day. Just 4 to 6 times, I believe is all it is. And so we're going to respond to this one. We're just going to hit the button. And there we go. Look at that. War Greymon G-Erosion mode just appeared. And that's a pretty strong guy. Hopefully we can beat that. Let's see. And so it just plays out like a normal battle. Oh boy. Yeah, look at that. You got different left-facing sprites for that too. I love those little features that they have in there for making sure that the Digimon look unique depending on which way they're looking, if that's how their artwork is. All right, so we just got hit twice. That's not great. Yeah, no, we died. So this guy is a vaccine that we're fighting. We are a virus. Now's as good a time as any to tell you that attributes are back in full force with this. The Monster Hunter did not use attributes. It listed everything as free. Well, good. This leads us right into treatment. Let's just go ahead. So this icon here, if you get sick or injured, then bam. Well, there's only injury on this device. There's not separate ones like on pendulums, but there we go. We healed it. You might need to heal it multiple times depending on the Digimon. Number of heal doses required is on the guide if you need to look at them. That's what we're saying there. Yeah, so attributes. This device does have attributes for everything. The only vaccines are the Agumon line in its entirety. Every Agumon evolution from the anime is a vaccine. The only viruses are the Skullgreymon and Mugendramon evolutions, as well as Raremon and then the Godzillas. The Godzillas are all viruses. And then the non-Godzilla, non-Digimon are all data, as well as Monodramon, which that's funny because Monodramon is normally not a data, but on this device it is in fact a data. So we were a virus going up against a vaccine. Vaccines had the advantage, and so it was very able to handle us, unfortunately. But not a big deal. That means we did lose some G cells for losing that battle. I think we lost 6 of them there for not clearing that out. We could have gotten 12, but we didn't. Oh well. We're already... This guy can't evolve anymore anyway, so the number of G cells doesn't matter too much. So going back to the light section there. So again, lights, we can turn them off or on, and if we turn them off before bedtime, it will not get a camera mistake when sleep comes. Just make sure you don't turn it off too early and just let it sit, because other things, such as hunger and strength depletion, will still occur, meaning that if it runs out of hunger hearts, even if the lights are off, it's still going to call out. If it's asleep, it won't decrease at all, but if you just have the lights off, then it will. And then we got the 2 other options here. We've got cold mode and we got backup. Cold mode lets us put the monster into the fridge in case we need to pause taking care of it for a while. This is also the same thing that will occur when we do backup. Backup will also mean you don't have to take care of it, but it'll actually replace your current monster with a new monster to raise. So if you already have something in backup, you'll get that thing back. If you don't have anything in backup, you get a fresh egg to hatch and go through raising all of that. So I probably will back up Godzilla here at some point and start raising something else. Either that or Godzilla will just die. I don't know. I'm probably fine if it just dies. I'm not the kind of guy who gets super sentimental about my monsters. They're supposed to die. That's what happened. You raise them until you do a poor job and they die. I think I've gotten 2 care mistakes on this guy since it's evolved into this form. So 3 left and it'll be gone. And I can always raise another one, and I'll have to once I get a G cell fragment. So that's lights. They got good functions on there for those of you who don't want to have to be worrying about your Digimon if you're going out for a while. Like if I'm going out to something and I don't want to take it with me, I will freeze it and it's fine. So those are the main functionalities. The other things to point out are that if we go to our settings menu here by holding down the C button, then we already talked about backgrounds. We also have brightness. You can go through 5 levels of brightness, which is nice. We have sound, which goes from loud to off to kind of loud. All 3 volumes, or all 2 volumes, I should say, are pretty noticeable. But if you need it to be a little bit less, then there you go. And then we have the power off function, which we're not going to do right now. So yeah, so that's the device overall. It is pretty freaking great. I'm not gonna lie. Again, it's not like it's super different from the Digital Monster Color series in every way. It's just that one change, the G-cell meter, really makes this a much more interesting device. And the evolutions, they can go in several different ways. So I was Space Godzilla before this. Space Godzilla could evolve into either this Godzilla we see before us or into Destoroyah, and I ended up getting this Godzilla. Not on purpose, mind you. I wanted Destoroyah, but oh well. It's not like I didn't read the guide. I did and just ignored it, I guess, because I'm like, oh, okay, I need to get no more than this many G cells. Got it. And then I got way more than that many G cells. I'm just enjoying playing with it. But yeah, there's branching evolution, so it's not just once you reach adult, you're in one line. And it's not like the Pendulum Color where you're doing jogresses. It's like the Digital Monster X, where different requirements will occur out of one monster to allow for different paths on its own. And I love that. That's the thing I loved most about the Digital Monster X, and that's kind of why I'm looking at this is, it's not the same as the Digital Monster X, and I'm not going to say it's as good as the Digital Monster X, but it's probably the best color device overall. I still might like the Pendulum Color more, personally, but I think this might be the better device overall. So, pretty surprising to say, because, yeah, it's a crossover. I didn't expect a lot out of this. I was expecting as much effort as there was put into the Digital Monster Color Monster Hunter 20th Edition, but they put in a lot more. And it really shows. This was made with a lot of love. People who made this freaking love Godzilla. I don't know how much the people that made the Monster Hunter one loved Monster Hunter, considering how again, it's not like it's a bad device. Monster Hunter is not a bad device. It's just so much less interesting than other devices. And I'm not biased here either. And I don't like this more because I like Godzilla more than Monster Hunter. Again, before this was renounced, the only Godzilla movie I have ever, well, no, that's not true. I've seen two. I saw the 1998 Godzilla movie, 97, I forget when it came out. And then I saw the 2014 American one. I haven't seen any of the actual Godzilla movies, any of the Japan-produced ones. Not one. And so I don't have a connection to Godzilla, but I do have a connection to good V-Pets. And this is by far a better V-Pet than the Monster Hunter device was. And better than the Digital Monster Color devices were. This is the best Digital Monster Color. That one's easy enough to say. This is the best Digital Monster Color device. And I definitely expect they'll do more crossovers with the Digital Monster Color. Not Godzilla, I mean, I just mean in general. And whatever the next crossover will be, I hope it's as interesting as this one was, because this one was super interesting. And again, it was made from a place of love. Like, the guys that made this, it's like, they love Godzilla. You could tell. There's so much fun things put into this, and it's great. So if you didn't buy this, I recommend trying to. There should be the ability to buy it still on some resellers out there. So go check them out, see if you could find this anywhere, because it's a worthy buy if you like Digimon V-Pets in general. Even if you don't care about Godzilla, I don't care about Godzilla. I still love this thing. And this was a pre-order exclusive device, as they usually are, so it's not like you're going to see this show up on store shelves anywhere, though it is a matter of getting it from resellers at this point, or people who bought up enough stock to sell them. And that's really it. You're not going to see this released again, for sure, in any other way. So, very cool device. Definitely highly recommend it. I'm going to do a normal bite-sized review on this in the near future as well, to give my condensed thoughts on this. This was meant to be just kind of a vomit of feeling to come out about it and showing you everything that it can do. And that review will come out. I've got two other reviews I've got to do as well for the D3 Digivice, as well as the Tamagotchi Paradise. So the Paradise will probably come next, followed by this, followed by the D3, because I care about the D3 least out of those three devices. We'll talk more about that when I do the reviews. But yeah, this is amazing. The next device to come out is going to be the Digimon Pendulum Color versions 6 and 7, the Shambhala devices. And while those don't look to be as deviating from the formula as this device was, I'm still looking forward to a lot of things. The cut-ins are coming back for those. I don't know what else will be different. There's a lot of new Digimon, a lot of really cool designs, a lot of great theming overall. So those will be great to see. So that's going to do it for now. If you want to talk more about this device, go to the Discord server in the description, and you can hit up the Modern V-Pets channel, where people are talking about their experiences with this device. You can get some second opinions if you don't trust me that this thing's as great as it is. Spoiler, other people are going to say the same thing as me, because everybody's really liking this thing. You can also go to digitelmahatchery.com if you need more information on raising yours. Again, I highly recommend reading the section on G-cells I have up there to get fully familiar with how those work, because it is a very complicated thing. I tried to cover it well here, but there's only so much I could say in a video without making this go on forever. So anyway, that's going to do it. So thank you for watching. Watch out for the reviews in the near future, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!